Call the police.
Attention, homicide section, flying squad detail. Murder suspect in your zone. Close in according to instructions.
Between you and the evil outside the law stands the policeman of your community. He gives up his safety that you may be safe. And sometimes he gives up his life to protect yours.
Brings you Call the Police, a new series of realistic radio dramas inspired by the courageous work of police departments all over America. This is Commissioner Bill Grant. Case number 4208 in the Ashland police files was a nightmare. A black panic we try not to think of on moonless nights as the case of the Suntower Mystery Mansion. The case really began when Mrs. Potter, a devotee of occultism and wealthy mistress of Suntower Mansion, hired a mystic gentleman named Michel Brullier to serve as a cross between a servant and a ghostly ringmaster. This I knew was unhealthy stuff, but it didn't become my business until a few months later, one ugly, rainy night. That was the night Mrs. Potter returned from her European junket. On hand to meet the train was, of course, our boy, the mystical Michel.
And Mr. Potter?
Gerald stayed over in New York. He'll be in the morning.
He will not be pleased when he gets here.
Michel, you look different. So worried.
The night after you went away, I made a mistake.
Mistake?
I was lonely in that enormous house, Sybil. It was natural that I should want to talk to our friends. But I was guilty of some fatal oversight.
Michel.
Suddenly, there was an infernal music and laughter. And then, as I stood trembling, a throne of skulls manifested in the center of the room. And there he sat.
Who?
I think the master of darkness himself. I remembered the exorcisation of Balsami. Vade magister sinistrus. I shouted those words, and the room was suddenly empty.
Oh, thank heaven.
But all is not well. I do not think the house is a safe place for you, Sybil.
Oh, what have we done? What have we done?
We will talk about it inside. Come.
Oh, there must be some way, somehow, of undoing the harm.
Sybil.
Yes?
I'm sorry. The key to the front door. I've left it inside. You go on ahead. I will let myself into the cellar and open the door for you.
You won't be long, will you? Where will this end? Where will it end? Gerald warned me. He said dealing with the beyond is dangerous. Someday you'll discover too late that... What was that? Michel! 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 Oh, thank heavens you... Oh, no. It isn't you. Oh, no. No! Let me out of here! Let me out! Let me out!
Mrs. Potter, the wealthy addict of occultism, was driven home from the station by her mystic soothsayer and servant, Michael Brullier. Half an hour later, she was found strangled to death in the hallway of her enormous home by a passerby who had heard her earth-rending scream. That was the beginning. But there was more to come, lots more. And all bad, as I discovered as soon as Libby and I walked into Suntower Mansion.
There's the body, Commissioner.
So I see. You were the gentleman who heard Mrs. Potter's cries, came in to investigate?
Yes, I happen to be passing by. I'm a doctor.
And the name?
Robert Martin.
Any details, Dr. Martin?
The woman was obviously strangled. Marks in her throat, face contorted.
Make a note, Libby.
All right.
If you'd like to have me make an official report at headquarters...
What's this?
Commissioner.
No, look.
It's our lad, Brullier.
Commissioner.
What's the matter, Mr. Brullier? Run into a strong-arm spook?
This man is hurt. Whoever attacked him meant to kill.
What went on here, Brullier?
I brought Mrs. Potter home. I forgot the key. I went into the cellar to let her in.
Where's Mr. Potter?
New York. Stayed over. Not expected back until the morning.
You were going through the cellar to let her in.
Yes, I started to run up the steps. She was calling my name, and then from somewhere, something hit me, and I lost consciousness. Is she all right?
Not exactly.
What is the matter? Where is she?
On the floor in front of you.
Sybil.
Dead.
Dead. No.
He's fainted.
I think it was genuine shock.
If it was, doctor him up. Revive him.
Yes, sir.
Libby,
Yes, Bill.
let's take a walk. I want to give this monkey house the once-over. Libby and I had worked our way through a dozen massive hallways and up and down as many massive staircases, getting nowhere but lost. And a sound from very nearby stopped us in our tracks.
What's that?
I thought this joint was empty.
What is that, Bill?
We'll soon find out.
What's the idea? What does this mean? Why, Oh, Commissioner Grant.
Well, if it isn't Mr. G.F. Potter unpacking his expensive luggage. Come on in, Libby.
All right.
What are you doing here?
I'll tell you if you tell me.
This is my home.
Rumor had it that you were in New York.
Rumor's correct. I was. I just got in.
When?
A few minutes ago.
What time?
What is...
What time did your train get in?
At 11:15. I just arrived from the station.
Seen your wife since you got in?
No, I came in quietly through the side entrance. I didn't want to disturb her.
Where do you think she is?
Well, she got in a couple of hours before I did. She's probably in her bedroom, sleeping peacefully.
She's on the drawing room floor, G.F. And she's dead.
What?
Murdered. Corroborate, Libby.
Your wife has been murdered, Mr. Potter.
May I come in, Commissioner?
Oh, sure. Mr. Potter, this is Dr. Martin. He discovered your wife's body.
I just wanted to report that Michel Bouillet is coming around.
Good.
And one other item. I applied artificial respiration, and when I removed his coat for the purpose, this fell out.
A letter?
Under the circumstances, it seemed a little bizarre. Postmarked 3 weeks ago, foreign stamp.
Interesting. Mr. Potter has just returned from Europe. Let's see it.
Grant,
Relax, Gerald. My dear Brullier, I'm aware that there's a romantic relationship between you and my wife. You may think I will overlook this affront, but I assure you that I will avenge it if it means death for both of you. Signed, G.F. Potter.
give me that
Sorry
letter.
if it annoys you, Gerald, but you wrote it with your own little hands, and you kept your word. Brullier is alive by the skin of his teeth. And a little over an hour ago, you murdered your wife.
You're insane. Why, my train didn't get in until 11:15.
Take it, Libby.
All right. Hello? Yes? Yes. Oh, I see. What time was that? Sure. Sure, I'll tell him, and thanks.
Tell who?
Mr. Potter, that the airline is holding the briefcase that he left aboard the plane.
What plane was that?
The one that arrived from New York at 6:30 this evening.
Well, G.F., what's the answer to that one? Before I turned around, Potter was making tracks for the open door to the terrace. I gave chase. He turned and let me have both feet on the solar plexus. It sent me crashing back into the wall of the house, but the recoil was too much for him. And he went over the railing, howling like a horrified banshee. Potter lay still where he fell. We went down to the drive below and heard Dr. Martin's diagnosis.
Just a broken rib, Commissioner.
You sure that's all?
I'm absolutely certain.
Dr. Martin accompanied his newly made patient to the city hospital where his rib would heal under the watchful eye of a guardian of the law. The sergeant and I proceeded to the International Airline Terminal to claim Potter's briefcase as material evidence. While we were driving back, Bruyere was beginning to feel a little better at Suntower House, and Libby was doing some unrequested overtime.
Unofficially, Mr. Bruyere, I think you know a lot more than you've said. And on the other hand, I don't think that you're guilty.
You are right both times.
Then who are you shielding? Of course, if you don't want to talk.
Miss Tyler, do you believe in the powers of evil?
In this world or the next?
Either one.
I believe in them in this world.
And how do you feel about them?
I hate them.
Are you sure?
Look, Mr. Bruyere, I only took up police work because I thought it was the best way I knew of to protect the rights of decent people.
Very well. I shall tell you.
Tell me.
This murder was actually the work of a man named Lefebvre.
Lefebvre?
Yes, a murderer and villain from my native island of Hawaii in the Caribbean.
Where is he now?
Where? Where is the wind that brings pestilence?
What?
He is everywhere.
Listen.
Sacre bleu.
What's that?
Monsters! Monsters!
No, you're not to get up, Mr. Bruyere. You're not strong enough.
Let me go! Let me go! Stop it! Stop it, you fiend! You fiend!
Mr. Bruyere! Mr. Bruyere!
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Oh, Mr. Bruyere! Mr. Bruyere!
5 minutes later, when Maggio and I walked into headquarters... Hello? Hello? Who is it? Hello?
Bill?
Libby. Hello, Libby. Libby, hello. Hello, Libby. I yanked Maggio along on the double. Back at Suntower House, I must have taken the marble escalator in 3 leaps, and then I stood in the doorway of the second-floor bedroom.
Bill?
And there I saw Libby on her hands and knees, dragging herself toward me,
Bill?
literally over the dead body of Michel Bruyere. When the second murder occurred and Michel Bruyere was found strangled to death at Suntower Mansion, we got Libby out of the joint fast. Back at headquarters, she began to talk to Maggio and me, incoherently at first, and then...
Bruyere was just telling me that the murder was committed by someone named Lefebvre.
Lefebvre?
Hey, wait a minute. There's a thing in the paper about a guy named Lefebvre.
What about him?
He's a guy who's running for president in an island in the Caribbean.
Got the article?
Yeah, just a second here. Here it is, page 3.
Where?
Yeah.
Ah. Hanoi, July 3rd. Edmund Lefebvre has announced his candidacy for president to replace the late Manuel de Guerra, recently assassinated by the aroused population.
It couldn't be the same Lefebvre. He's 2,000 miles from here.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Libby. Brullier mentioned Lefebvre and...
Well, and suddenly there was this music. This wild, unreal music and the heavy pounding of a drum and people laughing down below.
What people laughing down below?
No people. The place was empty.
What are you telling us, Miss Tyler?
What happened? Just what happened? I can't explain it any more than you can.
Who's that?
Come in.
I just dropped by, Commissioner, to say that our patient is conscious and under police guard in City Hospital.
Potter?
Yes, I just left him.
He couldn't have slipped out about 45 minutes ago.
No, definitely not.
Then that lets Potter out.
Sure. Sure it does. It's obvious what we're dealing with here. Ghosts. Goblins. Maggio,
Yeah?
go out and round up a witch doctor and hand him the case. Get a real Lollapalooza with a two-headed mask.
If I might suggest...
Huh?
I was going to say that since we all know that ghosts don't exist, we might make a simple assumption in this case.
You mean somebody could be rigging up a ghost scare?
Possibly. Though I can't imagine the reason.
The reason? Or could there be anything valuable at Suntower House? Dr. Martin,
Yes, sir?
is Potter well enough to have a little conversation?
Yes, he is.
Okay, let's get to the hospital. He's the boy to give us the answers. You better talk, Potter. If you didn't kill your wife, you intended to. Somebody had gotten to Sybil before you, and you gave us that phony timetable alibi because you were scared.
But I've told you all I know, Commissioner. But there's nothing of peculiar value at Suntower House.
Are you absolutely certain, Potter?
Yes. There's nothing in any of the rooms that we know about.
Rooms you know about? What does that mean?
Well, there's some lost space in Suntower House. That's all, Grant.
That's all, is it? That's all. Come on.
Well, we rebuilt the right wing, and the architect did a sloppy job and left a foot or so of the floor space out of the new blueprint. It was really a better house the way it was when we bought it from him.
From him? From who?
A foreign chap named, something like
Lefebvre?
Yes. Why, yes. That's it. Edmund Lefebvre. He was somewhere from the Caribbean, the island of Hanoi, I believe.
I made a beeline for the original architect of Suntower House and came away with the blueprints. Burning the 10 o'clock oil with compass and slide rule, I finally scared Maggio out of a year's growth. There it is. There it lays. I got it.
Holy smoke.
Compare, my ever-loving Watson. A fast glance betrays that there's a discrepancy yielding us 4.5 feet of unaccounted floor space in the attic reaches of Suntower House. Come on.
To where?
To the mansion. Come on.
Wait till I get my coat.
You won't need it.
My gun's inside.
I got a gun. We went up to that attic armed with axe and crowbar and started tapping for hollow sound. Maggio took the front wall. I took the rear, and then... Maggio.
Yeah?
The axe.
What do you find?
We'll soon know. Look at it crumble, Sergeant.
If you ask me, this is it.
There, have a look. It's the 4.5 feet between the real outer wall and this phony partition.
It's very nice, Chief, only it's as empty as a beggar's hat in Edinburgh, you notice?
I notice. But I also notice it's papered.
So?
Valuables can come in very small parcels, Maggio. Start ripping the wallpaper off wherever it looks a little loose.
As you say, Commissioner. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
That's what Miss Tyler said she heard.
Let them have a picnic down there, Sergeant. They can't stop us now.
I got an angle, Chief. Lend me a gun and you keep looking.
What are you going to do?
Fire a shot and see if it don't break up the celebration.
I kept working over the wallpaper while Maggio went out to the head of the stairs. He had fired that shot down into the darkness. I waited. The music was still. And then... Two shots came up out of the darkness, and Maggio staggered into the room empty-handed and gripping his right arm.
Chief, Chief.
Maggio.
It's coming. Something's coming up the stairs. Listen.
What is it?
I only saw blood.
My gun. Where's my gun?
I dropped it over the staircase when I got it in the armor.
What?
I think this is really it. I'm sorry, Chief.
There was a dark figure in the doorway. I reached reflexively for the gun that wasn't in my holster, found my flashlight, and turned it on the shadowy menace.
You will be wise enough to respect the gun, I trust.
You could miss with the light in your eyes.
Hardly with 6 bullets, Commissioner.
There's a logic in what you say, Dr. Martin. By the way, I just located the valuable. It was a roll of 16-millimeter film plastered behind the wallpaper where the former tenant, Mr. Lefebvre, left it.
I will take it, please.
What's this thing worth, Martin? Bruyere evidently considered it pretty important. He started the ghost scare here at Suntower House to keep people away while he searched.
What Bruyere did is none of my business.
You're rivals, weren't you? Both after this little roll of film for reasons of your own. You're only in agreement on one point. The ghost scare was a very useful smokescreen, a hocus-pocus worked with records and a public address system.
So?
But essentially, you and Bruyere were mortal political enemies. You must have been. You killed him when he was about to enlist Libby and the police on his side.
I have no time to talk.
You also killed Mrs. Potter to keep her from intruding on this vital hunting ground. But one point I don't get. Why did you enlist the services of the police?
I needed official help. I needed it badly enough to take the risks involved. I had to get those architects' prints and locate the missing room. Washington has discovered that I am here without a visa.
And you wanted me to wind up your unfinished business.
Just as you have done. And now, if you don't want to be the last business I finish, give me that film.
Not a chance.
Very well. Play it your own way. Best wishes, Mr. Grant.
Well? Well, who was it? Santa Claus? Or Libby Tyler?
Did I kill him, Bill?
No. He just knocked his artillery arm out of commission.
Oh, good news.
I got better news, Angel. He didn't kill me. As soon as Maggio came around, Libby and I ran the 16-millimeter films through in a private projection booth. They were documentary proof of Lefebvre's intimate association with certain ruthless elements in Hanai, enough to kill his chances for election. Bruyere was after the film to squelch Lefebvre's chances. Martin, on Lefebvre's payroll, was in this country to destroy the film.
So, now what happens, Bill?
Michelle wins, Libby, the mystical man of goodwill.
How do you mean?
We ship the film to Hanai tomorrow.
And the mystery's over?
Except for one thing. How did you manage to appear just in time?
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Well, I got on to Martin. I contacted the New York Medical Association, found out there was no listing at all for a Dr. Robert Martin, and I came looking for you.
Very sly little lady. And what do we get for it in the end? A movie.
At least a free movie.
Oh, it lacked a lot.
Oh, such as?
A finish. You know, a moment when the guy and the gal stand face to face and he murmurs something sentimental and then draws her to him.
Bill, please.
Well, what's the matter, sweetheart? I'm only trying to show you what I mean by a lovely finish.
Bill. Oh, Bill Grant.
Commissioner Grant will be back in just a moment with the Call the Police Award of Valor. This week presented to a police officer who drove his motorcycle headlong into a hail of bullets to capture 3 vicious bank robbers.
This is Bill Grant. Tonight we present the Call the Police Plaque of Valor and a cash award to motorcycle officer Robert C. Mayer of Los Angeles, California. While on traffic duty in downtown Los Angeles, Officer Mayer picked up a radio police call alerting all units to a bank holdup at 8th and Vermont. Wheeling his motorcycle, he roared in the direction of the robbery. Several blocks from the bank, Mayer spotted the holdup car as it careened around a corner. Skidding crazily for a half block, it crashed against a wall. The three bandits leaped out and, using the overturned car as a barricade, opened fire on the radio car number 71T, which had led the chase. Mayer rode his motorcycle directly into the hail of bullets. Then he, too, opened fire. The pitched gun battle lasted for several minutes before two of the robbers went down. Severely wounded himself, Officer Mayer apprehended all three gunmen. His high courage in face of direct fire, his resolute fortitude and gallant devotion to duty are in keeping with the highest tradition of the police forces of America. Congratulations to Motorcycle Officer Robert C. Mayer, Chief C.B. Horrell, and the entire police force of Los Angeles, California.
George Petrie was starred in the role of Bill Grant. Music was arranged and conducted by Ben Ledlow. This is Hugh James reminding you to be with us again next week when bring you another exciting police case. Listen next week to...
The case of the Mandarin's Macaw.
Be sure to listen next week to Call the Police.